Boys, prepare yourself. This video may be long because there is a lot in today's patch and a lot of changes both to our exotics, to our entire weapon system, as well as time to kill changes and various other changes that we're going to break down. So to start this video off, guys, let's talk about the weapon changes. First off, let's get some rules out there real quick. Primary ammo weapons and special ammo weapons may exist in either the kinetic or the energy slots. Heavy ammo weapons can exist only in the power slots. Ammo type and damage type are now fixed attributes of a specific weapon. Ammo distribution models updated entirely to support weapon slot changes. That just means that the ammo economy is going to account for those weapon slot changes. Energy weapons no longer deal bonus damage to active enemy supers. That's a big one, boys. Meaning to really gun down a super, especially in something like Crucible, you're gonna need a shotgun, sniper, fusion rifle, something along those lines, because the days of being able to gun down a super with your graviton lance probably won't be possible anymore. Moving on, let's go over real quick the different weapon types and what falls into their categories. Primary ammo weapons consist of hand cannons, scout rifles, auto rifles, sidearm, and submachine guns. Special ammo weapons consist of fusion rifles, shotguns and snipers, trace rifles, and single shot grenade launchers, something like Fighting Lion. Heavy ammo weapons consist of the drum loaded grenade launchers, rocket launchers, linear fusion rifles, and swords. Now, we already touched up on the power weapons that are going to be moving to the kinetic slot, but we'll touch on them again. Baligan, Shepherd's Watch, Hawthorns, Alone as a God, Perfect Paradox, Frigid Jackal, and Silicon Neuroma are all moving to the kinetic slot. I've done a review on it already, guys, if you want to check that out. Now, the following Year 1 weapons are now locked to solar damage. That is the Ikelos sniper rifle and the Ikelos shotgun. Now, they did that purposely, guys, so we wouldn't be able to stack this with tractor cannon. Now, the following exotic weapons did not change slots, and they still use heavy ammo. Tractor cannon, Legend of Acreus, Darcy, and Whisper of the Worm. So things like Borealis, Telesto, Merciless, those weapons are going to be moving to the energy slot and are going to be really nasty too in both PvP and in PvE. Now let's talk about the various changes that are coming to each one of these weapon types. So primary ammo weapons, they're going to actually get increased precision damage output of all primary ammo weapons. We've already seen that in the gameplay from the Sandbox changes and other things. Now, there's actually going to be an overall blanket increase in in-air accuracy, meaning everything is going to get a little more in-air accuracy. I like this change. I like mobility. I like to be rewarded for having mobility and getting the jump on enemies, so I'm down with this. Now, there's going to be a decrease in body shot damage in PvE. So that's across the board for all primary weapons. So again, they are making an aim to make sure we go for those critical shots. They also mentioned that decreased auto rifle damage required to stagger enemies to compensate for reduced body damage. So you'll be able to stagger enemies more, at least with auto rifles. Special ammo weapons. Reduced damage output of special ammo weapons. So again, I mentioned things like Merciless and Borealis moving to those energy slots, but if there's going to be a complete blanket nerf or a reduction in damage for all our special ammo weapons, then the DPS that they originally put out as power weapons will not match what they're going to be doing from today going forward. Now, there is going to be increased damage from all trace rifles. We talked about that yesterday with Prometheus Lens. And trace rifles will now disintegrate defeated enemies. So for me, guys, trace rifles is the biggest wild card. I am honestly going to go into Crucible first and test them out. Now, heavy weapons. Grenade launcher, increased damage and blast radius. Linear fusion rifle, increased damage. They're also going to get a reduced time to charge and fire and reduced aim assist. So they're going to be a heavy hitter, but not as sticky. Swords, increased ammo and increased damage mitigation when guarding. Get on the level of what we had back in D1. Now let's touch up on the exotic weapons before we get to the exotic armors. So Sleeper Simulant fixed an issue where charge time was not displayed properly on the weapon. There's also going to be a magazine size increase and reduced base damage. Borealis, wow, we were just talking about it. Bonus damage after breaking a shield increased on precision hit. Still grants bonus damage on body shots. I'm really not sure what's going on here. Maybe what they're trying to say is the increased damage is going to be significantly more from a precision hit standpoint, and the body shot damage is not necessarily going to allow us to one-shot body people in Crucible after getting Ionic activated. Guys, let me know in the comments below if I'm misinterpreting this. Prometheus Lens no longer generates special ammo on kill. Guys, I called it yesterday. We talked about Prometheus Lens. There's two conditions. when it comes to special weapons that can break the entire special economy, and it's a weapon that can bypass the ammo conservation rules that are set in place, and a weapon that has good time to kill. So I think Prometheus Lens is probably still going to have a very good time to kill, but it will not regenerate special ammo, which is super unfortunate because, I mean, I love that aspect about it in PvE. Now, Tractor Cannon, the intrinsic perk, Repulsor Force, now also increases non-void damage by 33%. Now, again, it originally only stacked with void damage, but it will no longer stack with other weakened effects. So Melting Point, Shadow Shot, that's super unfortunate. I wish it still did stack with it. Oh well. Now, before we move on to exotic armor pieces, let's talk about the perks that will be on your weapons. Explosive Payload, reduced bonus damage output. Ambitious Assassin is getting an increase in time allotted between kills to earn bonus ammunition. Backup Plan, decrease amount of time weapon must be stowed for perk to become available. Good. Box Breathing, reduced time required for the perk to activate, but you are going to get a reduction in precision bonus, and the perk will now reset after firing. High Impact Reserves, damage bonus granted earlier in the magazine. Oh, that's going to be nasty, especially with certain archetypes that need just a little bit of more love on that tail end to get maybe something like a 2-burst in. Grave Robber now reloads your entire magazine. Now, Grave Robber is the perk, guys, that when you melee an enemy, it would only reload a portion of your magazine. Now it's going to reload the entire thing. Primary ammo is granted directly to the magazine. Heavy and special ammo is transferred from reserves to the magazine. What they're trying to say here is that Grave Robber is still going to be a perk you're going to be able to get on weapons since everything's going to be random rolled, and heavy and special weapons can roll with Grave Robber. But it won't be ammo that's just pulled out of thin air, it'll be pulled from your reserves. Field Prep, increase inventory reserves. It's also going to increase stow, ready, and reload speed when crouched. Originally, guys, if you have a weapon like Haunted Earth or something, it increased ammo reserves as well, but you only got faster reload when crouched. So now you're going to get a combination of things there while crouched. Auto-loading holster, reduce the time required for perk to activate when weapon is stowed. Opening shot, increase fall-off range, meaning the weapon will do more damage at longer ranges. That's an interesting perk considering what it originally was. I personally love it on my hand cannon DFA, and I really wonder how this perk compares to something like Rangefinder. Triple Tap grants ammo directly to the magazine, and it no longer pulls from reserves. Guys, Triple Tap is a great perk, but let's be honest, Whisper pretty much outclassed every other sniper because White Nail was a much better perk than our current Triple Tap. This is really going to make a lot of weapons viable in PvE. That'll be a top tier perk for sure. All right, let's break down these armor pieces. Orpheus Rig will no longer grant super energy on bloom and damage sharing. Raise base super amount that you receive from tethers to create a more consistent and less exponential experience. The super energy that is given will now scale up with more powerful enemies that are tethered. Now, when used with Mobius Quiver, this will also grant additional tether shots. So now we're actually going to get even more than what it originally gave us. Honestly, don't use Mobius Quiver that much. Now, it does mention that it will not grant ability energy on tethering targets. Celestial Nighthawk, we talked about this last week. It will now grant 33% of your super energy back if the target is killed by the shot. We did a wild card video on it. We asked, well, what if you kill 3 enemies? Could you get 100% of your super back? We'll know today. Wormhusk will no longer start regeneration of health and shields. Instead, it will grant a larger health and shield bump at the beginning of the dodge instead of at the end. Knucklehead Radar, enhanced radar resolution while crouching. I'm assuming Knucklehead is getting that on top of its original exotic perk. So you're going to get, of course, radar when aiming down sights still, and now you're going to have enhanced radar when you're crouching. Moving on, Lucky Pants will get an extended duration of a legally modded holster. For those that don't remember, a legally modded holster means precision hits load 1 round to the chamber of stowed hand cannons. So it's going to get an extended duration of that. Shinobi's Vow, skip grenades return some energy when it damages an enemy. Jesus, that's going to be crazy. You're telling me you're going to be able to get grenade energy back, plus you're going to be able to rock a lot of grenade mods, bring those cooldowns even faster. Probably never going to run out of freaking grenades. Moving on to the Warlock class, the stack. Rift drop from death now has a standard rift duration. I don't know what the rift duration was before, but cool. Of course, we're going to have a timer now that's going to tell us how long that rift lasts. Eye of Another World, ability recharge, bonus increase. Nezarec Sin is getting an increased duration of Abyssal Extractors, and Rapid Kills extend the duration up to 20 seconds. For those that don't know, Abyssal Extractors is an exotic perk that increase ability energy recharge rate on void damage kills. So this is just going to get a buff all around. Skull of Dire Ahakara. Ahakara! Give up, chat. I give up, man. Something happens to my brain when I look at that word. Increased super energy gain from Nova Bomb kills. Killing higher ranked enemies now rewards more super energy. We saw that last week. That's a good buff that's coming to that exotic helmet, though. Transversive Steps enhance mobility, and then after sprinting for a short time, your currently equipped weapon is automatically reloaded. I really wonder what that enhanced mobility is, because I already feel pretty swift on a Warlock with Transversive Steps. Winter's Guile, tune damage and duration per stack to be more consistent. Now that exotic perk is actually Warlord's Sigil. Eliminating enemies with melee attacks increase your melee damage. So that's gonna get a buff, good. Moving on to Titans, MK44 Stanicides. Overshield granted by sprinting now appears faster. Oh my lord. This could be very good or very bad. At the end of the day, the overshield really doesn't give you that much health, but it does help, yeah. Talk about closing the gap now, boys. Holofire Heart. You're now gonna get a cooldown reduction when your super is not even charged, in addition to the cooldown reduction when charged. So all around, you're gonna actually be able to take advantage of this exotic, whether or not your super is charged. Good. I hope it's noticeable. Helm of Saint 14 will now grant allies an overshield for a short duration when passing through Ward of Dawn. Excellent. Said it last week, I'm so happy we can finally be a support class. One of my favorite things to do back in D1. We can finally do it again. Thank you. Mask of the Quiet One. Increase energy gain from incoming damage. Hopefully it's a lot more noticeable than what it is now. And then while critically wounded, health is granted from kills. That is a big one, boys. I don't think I'm gonna take that one off. Crest of Alpha Lupi will get a healing pulse that is more effective. I want it to be more effective, and hopefully it's got a bigger radius, man. I just wanted to just give everybody health on the whole map. No, I guess it would probably break the game then, but it'd be pretty cool. Peacekeepers, increase movement speed when wielding an SMG. So it's gonna still have the reloading stow capabilities. Now you're gonna get increased movement speed. Wonder how noticeable it's gonna be. Worm God Caress. Tune damage and duration per stack to be more consistent. So essentially the same buff that Winter's Guile is getting. I'm sure their tune damage and duration is probably going to be very similar. Now, as you know, guys, we're getting pretty much an entire buff to all our grenades. We've already pretty much touched them on that. Nothing really changed outside of a base damage buff to all of them, outside of magnetic grenades, though. The grenade will now do a second blast only if it's attached to the target. Now that second detonation will no longer only occur on the grenade itself, but will now be applied to each individual target hit by the initial detonation. We talked about it last week. Honestly, I think the synergy is probably not going to be there just yet. Wait till next week when the new supers roll out. It's going to be pretty nasty with the Code of the Commander for Titans. But let's talk about the different changes. These are kind of like miscellaneous changes that are happening to the Hunter, Titan, and Warlock classes. So in general, Marksmen Dodge is now considered a reload. It can interact with Kill Clip, Rat King, Desperado, things like that, guys. Gunslinger, the Practice Makes Perfect perk, will now grant super energy on throwing knife kills. This is bottom tree Gunslinger, by the way, and it's actually going to be granting you actual super energy and not just super cooldown. There's also going to be an increase the duration of all versions of the Golden Gun. I think it's going to be by like 2 extra seconds, guys. Night Stalker. Once activated, the Shadow Shot tether will find enemy targets more reliably within its search radius. Now moving on to the Titan, guys. Rally Barricade no longer requires players to take cover to reload. It now feeds ammos to your magazine over time. Striker. With terminal velocity enabled, the opening Fist of Havoc slam no longer leaves a lingering damage area. Needless to say, what they're trying to say is that AoE damage that it used to grant will still be granted, but not on the initial slam, not on your very first slam. Striker is also getting lowered health threshold for triggering knockouts, so that it triggers sooner to keep up with the PvP lethality changes. By the way, guys, that is a perk on bottom tree Striker. It's safe to assume you don't have to actually critically wound your enemy to have this perk activated. I would say that knockout melee range is comparable to something like Syntheseps. Not as far, but still pretty good. Also, there will be an increase in lunge range of the Fist of Havoc melee attack. Oh, well, never mind. I guess everything's just kind of getting a little bit of a buff there. So Knockout might actually even scale up to the same range as something like Syntheseps. Sunbreaker, Soul of Invictus will now trigger on burn kills. Now that perk is on the bottom tree Sunbreaker. Solar ability kills restore your health. Grenade and melee ability kills leave a deadly sunspot in their wake. Guess what they're trying to say is now the burn will activate that. Tell you how much I play bottom tree Sunbreaker. I didn't even know the burns didn't activate that. Now moving on to the Sentinel. Increase Ward of Dawn health significantly. And there's also going to be a health bump provided by Ward of Dawn's overshield. So these changes in combination with Helm of the Saint 14 is going to be disgusting, guys. Be the ultimate support class. And you're going to be able to survive longer in your bubble. And your bubble could take more damage. Now the Sentinel Super itself. Increase shield throw projectile speed. Thank God. Shield throw no longer loses damage after bouncing or ricocheting off targets. Well, that's nice. Faster attack animations for ground melee attacks. Okay. Increase Sentinel Super damage in PvE. Okay, well, I mean, I guess I would have liked to have seen something on here that said better registration for Sentinel Supers on console, but I guess we'll get there when we get there. Moving on to the Warlocks, guys. They're going to get an increased Healing Rift effectiveness. Empowering Rift will now increase precision damage. Previously, bonus damage was actually capped at the weapon's precision damage in PvP. Stormcaller, increase the PvP damage of Storm Trance. I would say that is probably going to be needed since now we have so many one-hit KO weapons. Increase Arc Soul's projectile speed. Dawnblade, increase Dawnblade projectile speed and base tracking strength. Hot damn, I already thought Dawnblade was pretty good, but okay. Voidwalker, significantly reduce the length of time that blink disables your radar and HUD. I know that's gonna make a lot of people happy. Chaos Accelerant no longer costs super energy to use. That was actually the top tree perk, guys, that allowed you to draw power from your super to overcharge your grenade. Now it won't cost any of your super, which is actually pretty good. I actually really like that perk. They're also going to increase the damage bonus granted by Chaos Accelerant for each Voidwalker grenade. So yeah, that's great. Might actually get people to play top tree Voidwalker. So boys, that is pretty much your breakdown for everything today. Whew, this was a long one. If you want to read all the miscellaneous changes, feel free to check out the Sandbox details. They'll be in the description below, guys. Boys, this is about to be a completely new game when we load up today. I gotta say, man, for everyone that has stuck it out with me for the past year, it's been hell at times, but it's also been the most wonderful year, man. To see this community turn things around, to see Bungie turning things around, I'm excited. So guys, thank you all so much for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.